Welcome to the Natural Health Podcast, where we bring awareness of sustainable health in the business hustle space. Natural Health Podcast is perfect for the high-performing, business-minded individuals who want to work with their biochemistry to achieve optimal health. It's Wednesday, which means it's time for What Would I Do? That's right. In today's episode of Natural Health Podcast, we discuss this week's questions. All questions are kept confidential. I read them and answer them if it was me. Exactly what's called What Would I Do? The information provided is not to be taken as advice and is solely for information purposes only. I am not here to cure, treat, or provide medical advice. I am here to educate and inform you so you're able to take steps towards optimal health. Please discuss any lifestyle changes or medical issues with your healthcare professional. Let's get into today's question. Thank you so much for writing in. I just want to put that out there for anyone who has written in with any questions. Thank you so much, because you're giving an opportunity for all these other individuals to relate, because some people aren't writing in because I'm not too sure. They may be scared. They may not have time or something. So by you writing in, you're giving an opportunity for other people's questions to get answered. And I absolutely love that, to work as a community. Let's get into today's question. So today's question is actually, my hands are always cold. No matter what the time is, they are just always cold. Why are they always cold, and what can I do? Thank you so much for writing in. Unfortunately, I didn't get too much information from this question. So the only information that we have here is that the hands are always cold no matter what time it is. So I'm guessing it just means no matter if it's winter or summer, morning or night, your hands are always cold. So cold hands could be occurring due to so many issues, right? I'm going to talk about a few if we go into the podcast. But as cold hands can not only just be uncomfortable, can it be something to worry about? So that's the thing that I wanted to go into today, in today's question, in today's podcast. Sometimes constant cold hands can be an issue or a sign of actual illness or a disease, right? So the thing that I wanted to also say is that what I found interesting is the term, you know how some people go, oh, I've got cold hands, and then someone turns around and goes, well, I've got a warm heart. Well, I say that all the time. If someone does touch my hands and they're cold, I go, well, I've got a warm heart. Well, it's actually true, because what can happen is, because our body temperature can drop dramatically. And when it drops, what happens is the blood goes actually to our vital organs. Our fingers are not vital organs, as some people may think and love their fingers as much as they do, but they're not actually vital organs. We can live without these. However, without a heart, without lungs, we cannot live, right? So our blood rushes towards the center of our body where our vital organs are, and that's when that stays warm because our body temperature dropped for whatever reason, and our fingers, our hands, our toes stay cold. So that's actually a very interesting aspect right there that I wanted to talk to you, right? So let's actually look at the connection as to why are some people's hands so cold? Why are they cold, right? So the issue is let's just through a few some is poor circulation, right? That makes total sense. The hardening of the arteries, smoking, cold weather, feeling chilled or nervous, right? So the interesting thing is a lot of individuals actually connect cold hands with a thyroid issue. Now, how does that make any sense? Well, too much or too little thyroid hormones interferes with metabolism. It also interferes with our blood flow. It interferes with so many vital things that occur throughout our body. Our thyroid is so vital for our body to function, for everything to function properly, right? So what can happen is when someone has a slow thyroid, that can happen, and then our hands go cold, our body temperature drops down low, our hair starts falling out, the outside of our eyebrows start thinning out, we start gaining weight, our metabolism drops down low, right? Another thing also can happen is people can have megaloblastic anemia. This is a shortage of healthy red blood cells from a vitamin B12 deficiency, which can cause cold feet and hands, right? Can have that burning sensation, right? And then that might be related to a B12 deficiency. So disorders of the nervous system, which can result in cold hands, I thought I'll put this in little categories. So disorders of the nervous system could be peripheral nephropathy. I hope I pronounced that right? Which is also normal word for it is nerve damage, causes numbness or tingling in your hands, which can be interpreted as cold for some individuals. Panic disorder descends your body into a fight or flight mode, diverting blood to your internal organs and outside leaving them cold, what I spoke about earlier. Anxiety or nervousness, these both can cause sweating and constriction of the blood vessels, which is why your hands may feel cold and clammy sometimes. Sometimes people are like, my hands are really cold, but they're really clammy, right? The other thing is also infections. So interesting. So any viral or bacterial infection, this can cause a fever, which is fighting the infection. Cold hands can result to your body redirecting blood to its vital organs. Mononucleosis, this can lead to peripheral neuropathy. Meningitis, which can cause symptoms both of a fever and also cold, right? The following psychological can cause also, right? So if you have a low body fat, right, this will make your body divert more blood flow to your vital organs, which means your hands may be cold. You don't have enough body fat on you. Your body fat is actually really low due to whatever reason that may be. It may actually be a family trait. So a lot of individuals, their mums, their dads, everyone in their family has really cold hands, right? The list goes on and on and on, right? Also, iron deficiency anemia is a condition in which the body does not have enough iron to form hemoglobin, the protein in red blood cells that carries oxygen throughout the body. So, and there's so many things also. I could do a whole huge podcast on this also, but there's also Raynaud's phenomenon, which is also a secondary Raynaud's syndrome. It's a condition that causes your small arteries in the skin to abnormally constrict on exposure to cold water or air. This limits blood flow to the hands, fingers, feet, toes, nose, and ears, right? There's also hypothyroidism, which is what I spoke about, the thyroid issue, which is an underactive thyroid issue, which means it's not producing enough hormones, and it can cause a slowing down of your metabolic rate, causing cold hands, feet, and so forth. But it could also just be cold exposure, where you like mild frostbites, where you're exposed to something cold in that moment, or you always are exposed to something cold, right? So let's get into the questions that I would ask myself after the information I've just provided you with roughly. The questions that I would ask myself is, does this occur more during summer or winter? Is this worse in the morning or at night? Am I feeling numbness or tingling or pins and needles throughout it, right? Does my family have something like this? Does anyone in my family have Raynaud's syndrome? Do I have any autoimmune diseases in the family, or do I myself have any autoimmune diseases, right? Are my hands actually changing color? Are they kind of like a purpley white, right? Is this a circulation issue? How are my feet? Are my feet cold too, or is it just my hands? Have I had so the things that I would get checked through a blood test or like this, have I had my thyroid checked? What are my hormones like? What's my iron panel like? Have I had my iron deficiency checked? Am I suffering from any panic disorders, any nerve damage? Do I have anxiety? Do I have any viral or bacterial infections? Do I have low body fat? Has any part of my body has my hands been exposed to the cold more often, right? Have I been feeling more tired than usual, more lethargic, sleepy, and so forth? Have I been experiencing dizziness, right? So these are some of the questions. There's so many more questions to ask myself. The first thing that I would do if my hands were always cold, which actually they have been, and I have done a number of these things to understand why my hands are cold. And this is the thing, is it's not, your hands aren't just cold because they want to be cold. There's a reason why your hands are cold. There's a reason to it, right? For me, it was my thyroid. So that's an interesting point right there. And it actually got worse in winter because of circulation, thyroid, less circulation, and so forth. So what would I do? And some of these things are actually what I did, right? I would get a blood test to see what my thyroid levels are like, what my iron levels like, how my kidneys functioning, how my liver's functioning, and overall look at my how my body's functioning through my blood tests, right? I would look at my hormones. Do I have any anxiety? Do I have any depression? I would manage my stress as much as possible. Exercise is absolutely amazing to get that circulation moving, to get everything moving through your body, your blood moving, your blood pumping, right? I would see a health professional that will find the root cause of the issue, because you may be making your hands warm by doing this, right? Rubbing them together. But what is the root cause? Why are your hands actually cold? Is it a B12 deficiency, an iron deficiency? Is it a thyroid issue? Is it an autoimmune disease? What is it, right? If I was smoking, I would stop smoking. I will preserve body heat also, right? By wearing a scarf if necessary, wearing gloves if necessary, wearing an extra jacket if necessary, right? The thing that's also important is understanding what my core body temperature is. So in the mornings, I would measure my core body temperature to understand what is a normal core body temperature for myself, right? If working in a cold environment, such as a freezer room or anything like that, make sure I'm wearing gloves or change jobs and remove myself from that situation, right? Don't change temperatures too quickly from hot to cold, right? So there's so many things that can be done through it, but the key is to figure out the root cause of why your hands are cold. Okay, so I hope I shed some light to today's question. I only have 10 minutes here, so I'm trying to get as much information out there as possible. I hope I shed some light to this question, or anyone listening who may have this issue. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at mihaela.raguz on Instagram, or just send me an email, get in touch with me, and hopefully your question will be answered on the Natural Health Podcast. Remember, you are not alone in your journey to optimal health. I'm here to assist you and make your journey a pleasant one. Until next Wednesday, love you.